Hey everyone, my name's Brandon. I'm here with Patrick, Jen, and Joey, and we're doing this week's weekly reflections. And we are coming to you from local sober living, Stone Valley Recovery. We want to thank them for allowing us to use their facilities. This week's reading comes from Daily Reflection. There are only two sins. The first is to interfere with the growth of another human being, and the second is to interfere with one's own growth. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 542 from the 3rd edition. Happiness is such an elusive state. How often do my prayers for others involve hidden prayers for my own agenda? How often is my search for happiness a boulder in the path of growth for another, or even myself? Seeking growth through humility and acceptance brings things to appear to be anything but good, wholesome, and vital. Yet in looking back, I can see the pain, struggles, and setbacks have all contributed eventually to serenity through growth in the program. I ask my higher power to help me not cause another's lack of growth today or my own.
Yeah, I actually do wonder sometimes, or I did when I first started to actually pray, are my prayers selfish? And to attempt to avoid those prayers. And I came to one solution: use the 3rd step prayer, the serenity prayer, and the 7th step prayer only, because they're worded in a way that it keeps me from having to be selfish within my prayers. For lack of a better example, I need a new car. I'm going to pray for that. I want, this person in my life to give me this job. I can't pray for that. That's not in necessarily, God's terms or God's will. So I stick to the 3rd step prayer, and in large part is take away my difficulty so that victory over them may bear witness to those I may help. That's the biggest piece for me. Things ended up becoming easier for me through this program by praying, meditating, trust God, clean house, help others. Things became easier for me for only the reason that I'm able to help others because of it. And I truly believe that. I don't think that anybody else or any other, my ability to help is only given to me, the pieces of my life that I enjoy, the come-ups, as it were, that I've received, the things that I'm grateful for only come because I can use those to help others. The second I stop doing that, those things will likely go away. Also, in the last sentence of this, looking back, you can see the pain, the struggles, and the setbacks contributed eventually to the serenity and growth. Obviously, there's a barometer of where I was and where I am now. And to always constantly remember that and have gratitude that I'm not there anymore, and that this program brought me to where I am now, not necessarily on a superficial level, but on an internal peace of mind type level. I'm much, much more happy, I'm much more effective to others, and I'm able to, like I said, help. And in turn, my ability to help allows me to get certain things in my life. If I try to question that at all, my effectiveness is then questioned. And if I'm praying for the next thing that I want, I might not be able to help the next guy who just wants a roof over his head or just wants to feel better.
Yeah, I agree. Reading that part of the book where it talks about, having selfish prayers or praying for something when it comes to self and it's not going to work, it's kind of like immediately shuts that whole thing down for me anyways. And, sometimes I do catch myself. Throughout my prayer, if I'm being specific about some stuff that I'm praying about, I'll see kind of how it's going to benefit me. And I kind of try to, I try to flip it. Prayer is very personal to me, but I try to flip it into where, how is this going to benefit somebody else in the end? In the long haul, how is this going to benefit someone else? I'm trying to be a better me for other people in general. I don't know, what it comes down to for me is that it is important. It is important that I get out of the way, man. I got to get out of the way, and for me, it's easier to, things just go so much smoother when I just get to get out of the way, and not have any selfish needs and kind of just trust the process. Like, let God do his work. You know what I mean? Because if not, I set the bar so high, man. Like, my expectations are so high. They're so ridiculous. Even my expectations for other people and all that stuff like that. And the reality of it is that anytime I do that, I set myself up for failure, or I set myself up for disappointment, you know. And when I just trust the process, you know, let it flow, let it happen, ask to get out of the way, and then trust the process, man. Like, it ends up working out a lot better in my favor. And ultimately, when that happens, I'm more of a happy person. You know what I mean? And I feel the blessings, and I get to see the gratitude for what it is, and then I get to show up for somebody else.
I definitely agree with what both Patrick and Joey said about, you know, praying selflessly and allowing, like, the process to do for me what I can't do for myself, in a sense. When I read this reflection initially, I read a lot of, like, control and manipulation into it. And I think that really takes me to kind of like the actor scenario, you know, like, you know, there's the aspect of helping other people, of course, but it's this line that says, you know, that a sin is to interfere with the growth of another human being. Which, you know, in the actor scenario, it tells me that, like, I try to run the show and essentially, like, control my life. And it just goes back to that power, like, thinking I have the power, you know, like, I definitely am guilty of getting into states where I feel like I know better than, and if things would only work out this way, then I would be happy. And in my experience, thinking that way has really robbed me of opportunities where I was able to grow through an experience, even though, you know, obviously sometimes there's hurt and pain involved in that, and it sucks, but that's life, you know. Like, sometimes in life you get hurt, sometimes in life you experience pain, but trying to manipulate a situation to not feel those things doesn't help me in the end. And if I don't have the experience, then I certainly can't help the next person who's going through it as well. So
I don't know. Like, I think at the end of the day, when I came in here, like, I wasn't necessarily seeking happiness. I was just seeking to be okay. And through the course of you know, taking this action prescribed, I began to get a little happy, and then I liked that happiness, so I sought happiness. You know, and sometimes it's at the expense of other people. You know, I'm selfish, I'm self-centered. I cannot sit here and say that on any given day I don't pray selfish prayers, because I do. I definitely do. I have to go back and be able to look at my motives, though, and say, okay, what are they there? Why am I praying this? And is me receiving this going to benefit someone else? Because I don't think that anything in my life today that I've received as a result of this program is not so that I can help someone else. And the moment that I stop using the things that God has given me to help someone else, I think it's the moment they're going to be taken away. You know, and you know, seeing how that relates to, it says, yet in looking back, I can see the pain, struggles, and setbacks have all contributed eventually to the serenity through growth in the program. I've had those pains, I've had those setbacks, I've had those struggles, and I can look back on them now, and not only did I grow through that, but it gives me an opportunity to help someone in the future, you know, when they've gone through those same things. I don't know if you've heard something today that you've related to, or that maybe struck a chord with you. If you have, that's great. You can always check us out on detox-to-rehab.com. Go there. There's an array of resources for you to check out if you're struggling and looking for help. Call the hotline number. It's right there on the page. There's an addiction specialist waiting to speak with you. And thanks for joining us, and you can always join us next week for more fun stuff.